Welcome into the lounge presented by DraftKings. I'm Ryan Mink with Garrett Downing, and we are thrilled to sit down with Roquan Smith today. And Roquan, you always like to say we're cooking with grease, and there's been a lot of cooking out there during training camp. The defense is balling. But my question is, if you're cooking any food in grease or with grease, what are you cooking?
It has to be chicken or fish.
Okay, that's it for you. Yeah. I mean, get that nice crisp on it. That's nice stuff. That's good stuff.
Do you do much cooking?
Oh yeah, I can throw down a little bit, given the time, But in camp right now, I'm not doing much. But more so in the off season, I like to get in the kitchen, whip up a couple things.
Nice.
What's your specialty?
My specialty, actually fried chicken. Being from Georgia, that's one of them for sure.
All right.
But I love salmon as well. So having salmon and then with different sides and whatnot.
Okay. All right. So like we said, I mean, this defense is cooking out here in practice. And I remember when we talked to you a couple weeks ago, you said, hey, I know, everybody's talking about the losses that we had, the players, Mike McDonald, all that stuff, but I feel like we can be even better this year. Why do you feel like this defense can be even better than the high bar that you set last year?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a great deal of respect for everybody that helped build this foundation of this defense, like far as last year and the years prior. But I say that because I know each and every one of the guys that we have in the locker room and how hungry each and every guy is and how each and every guy talks about how they want to be great, but not only talk about it, but go out on the practice field thus far and showing it day in and day out, even when it's those dog days when your shoes are soaked and your pants, you barely can run, but guys are finding it in their mind to keep on going and just knowing that we have everything it takes to get to where we want to be. And I think when the guys have that type of drive, man, it's hard to beat somebody that'll never quit.
Mm. How impressed have you been with the play of the secondary, the guys behind you? Because I think that's been one of the talking points early so far in camp. Marlon is looking like his old self out there. And just
Marlon's catching picks.
Yeah.
It's a big development.
No doubt. I agree with that.
What do you think of the way the secondary's looked?
No, yeah, definitely a veteran secondary. With Marlon, B. Steve out there, Arthur, many guys out there with Marcus, Kyle, so you name it, and got nice depth. Many guys can be very versatile as well. So I think just the mindset those guys have, and then led by Chris in the DB room, and then with Doug, the addition of Doug, I just think it's a great asset for the room as well. And with those guys, just with the communication out on the field, there's no lapse at all, and those guys see the checks before they even come and just thinking ahead. And I think when you have those type of guys, and they've been playing the game of football for a very long time, so it makes it easy where those guys can be in the right place at the right time and not have to overthink and just pin their ears back and go.
I'm curious for you, one of the things that I think makes you such a great player is your knowledge of the game. We actually had the rookie Devontae Walker on the podcast right before training camp started, and he said that his welcome to the NFL moment was one of the early practices, and you basically were calling out the formation based on where you saw him, and you kept saying the rookie gave it away. You were telling the coaches the rookie gave it away, and he was like, I don't even know what I did, but he was calling it out. It called 3 straight plays out. Were you just messing with him? Did he give it away? Is that, and how important is just that knowledge of the game?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the knowledge of the game is pretty big. But I think, honestly, when you go up against offense, many times, which our offense would go up against every day when we're not game planning, you just start to understand what an offense like to do out of certain situations, as well as during the seasons when receivers at the midpoint, receivers outside of the number, which receiver is it? Oh, this guy got a cut split, and just different things like that just gives you a heads up that this is something that possibly could happen, because at the end of the day, humans are creatures of habits, and at the end of the day, offensive coordinators are humans, defensive players are humans, so creatures of habits, you have tendencies and do the similar things. So I think it just all boils down to that, and just paying attention to the final formation and what an offense is trying to give you, and you have to ignore the eye candy in a sense.
You talk about the mentality of this defense, and Lamar even talked about it yesterday. He said, this feels like those old Ravens defenses, the blood and guts everywhere and all that stuff. That was Steve Smith saying, but it applies to the defense. Yeah. How has that mentality come about? Is that something that you really wanted to foster in this defense? Was that natural? How did that happen?
Honestly, I feel like I'm just one of the guys that's following along in that. I feel like that's been bred here since the beginning days with Ray, Ed, all of those guys, Bart, like, you name it, the big guys up front,
Haloti and all those guys,
Syracuse,
right?
like, so
right.
You name it. Like, I feel like that's just been bred here since the beginning, and I think that just goes back from there. And I'm just trying to be the guy in line that follows that tradition and bring it up a little notch as well, because I feel like that's a lost art in today's game, where a lot of people, like, are scared to play the game the way the game deserved to be played. And I feel like I'll never shortchange the game, and anybody that's rolling with me, which I know my guys are rolling with me, there's no shortchanging the game. So we're going to be the most physical, violent team there is out there, regardless of all the rules changes and things like that. But we're going to make sure when people play us, they're going to be like, okay, I don't want to see those guys again, like bruised up, bumped up, whatever the case may be. You're going to leave out with a couple may nots, may go away, may not.
I haven't heard that. That was
Where do you come up with these sayings? Chin up, chest out, sunsets, no regrets.
It just come to my head, and I just let it go.
But it's not just talk, though. I mean, I think Travis Kelce, like on a podcast even this offseason, when he was talking about the AFC Championship, he's like, that defense ain't messing around. Like, they are not there to mess around. And I know you wanted to win that game, obviously. It would have been better to beat him and then have him say that. But, like, what does that mean to you when opponents feel that, right? What's that mean to you?
Oh, no, it definitely means a lot, but it just goes to credit to who we are as guys on the defensive side of the ball. Like, I feel as each and every guy on the side of the ball defense, you look those guys in the eyes, and those guys look themselves in the mirror every day, and you say, hey, I'm a bad man. And, like, if we own our stuff, nobody want to mess with us, because it's like not just physical and violent, but guys that can run and smart football players as well. Right. And, like, living with no limitations in a sense. So, like, if it move, hit it by any means necessary. Whatever the play, guys crawling a little bit, smash it right away. Don't let it give it any air at all. Yeah. When you have that mindset, man, it makes people fear you in a sense, but you got to prove it, play in and play out, and it's not just talk.
Are you angrier this year than you were last year, you and this defense?
Yeah, I think I'm angry every play, honestly. Like, after the game, like, even with buddies, like, I'm buddy with you. Oh, yeah, bro, good to see you. But during the whistle, like, I'm trying to take your face off your head, at the end of the day, within the rules of the game, you know. So I think about it like that. But I feel like I'm a really nice dude outside of that, like, even in the studio. But, like,
I would agree.
There's a switch, just like the lights. You can cut them on or you can cut them off. So I feel like that's what it's more so of. And, like, I feel like a lot of guys on the defense have that same mindset, because there's some angry people over there.
You one thing that stood out to me since the time that you got here, and it's been awesome to see, like, you don't back down on the field, off the field. Like, you say what you think, and people could take that as bulletin board material, but, like, you don't really care. It doesn't bother you because you feel like you're
gonna back it up.
You're going to back it up. Why is like that your approach? I'm just curious how that is. That how you have always been? Why is that your approach?
Absolutely. I feel like I've always been that way. Like, be yourself at the end of the day, because that's who you know best. And if a guy, I've always said, if someone needs bulletin board material to make them play harder or do something a little more, a little longer, they're in the game for the wrong reason. Like, a guy can say whatever he want about, oh, this guy sucked, this guy's this, that, or the third. I'm still going to come out and hit you in your face every single time, regardless of what you say. If you don't say nothing, you can be a mute, you can be a mouse, you know. So, like, whatever the case may be, like, I'm coming out with the same attitude each and every day, and that's not going to change based on others' perceptions or what others' opinions and how they feel about things, because then you wouldn't be yourself.
I've seen it carry over to the rest of the team. I feel like since, like, in the time that you've been here, everybody has kind of, I just felt like, carry themselves with more of a bravado or confidence, and, like, I feel like that extends to the field. Like, you feel like you're going to be good, you say you're going to be good, and when you get onto the field, you play like the best defense in the league. Do you feel like that mindset, that talk, all of it translates onto the football field?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when there is something great, we all want to be great at something. And collectively as a defense, like, when guys know, okay, this is the mindset that we need to have, and okay, this person is about this, that person is about this, so why aren't we all about it? And when you buy into something like that, it makes you know that, like, if you believe that you're truly special and you can go out and do anything you put your mind to. And I think the guys on the defense just like migrate to real at the end of the day. Someone being authentic, not trying to fake it to make it or anything like that, just gonna give it cut and clean what it is, this what it is, and this what it's not. And I feel as I'm a guy personally that go out each and every day. I don't just say I'm going to run to the ball or do this. I actually go do it, and guys see that. Never show any signs of weakness, because that's not who I am. If you get me, you got me. But guess what? I'm coming right back up. I drop my head. Don't mind me. I'm picking it right back up. And whatever it is, like I always say, chin up, chest out.
I am curious. There has been, your former teammate PQ. He's kind of buying into that whole Steelers Ravens. Right? He's kind of stoking the flames a little bit.
He's throwing some logs on the fire.
He is. What do you think of this? Do you text PQ? How do you take that?
He's on the other side of the ball, so it's kind of hard for me to have anything to do with it. That'll be more of like Leonard Baum, D. Hen, and those guys. Mark, that I'll be able to get after him. But I have a great deal of respect for PQ. And when he was here, I have much love for him, and I always care for him. But definitely when we play him, he got to get dealt with by any means necessary, and everybody knows that. But the game won't be all about him; it'll be about the Ravens, and we go out and do what we have to do when we get there, and we'll talk it up at the end of the game, shaking his hand, say good luck next week, buddy.
I remember when we talked to you before last season, and you discussed where you felt like you could take your game to another level, and it was more the mental side, and kind of because you were so new into the defense 2 years ago, and so you felt like that was going to help you in such a big way. I'm curious, like, you just have played at such a high level since you've been here, so as you look at this year, like, what does the next step, where do you think that you can take your game?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. In years previous, being here, more so trying to master the defense inside and out, not just knowing my job, but knowing each and every person job, how it's supposed to be done, like on every given play. But I think my thing this year is more so getting more turnovers. Like last year, there was a couple picks I dropped, and also getting more punch out. So getting more ball production, forcing turnovers, giving Lamar more opportunities. And when we do that, we all know great things happen. So that's definitely something that I'm definitely going to be working on this season, outside of trying to put people to sleep, but also getting the ball out as well.
You mentioned Derrick Henry. What's it like now that the pads are on, kind of popping that guy, going up against him in practice? Yeah,
no, it's awesome going up against him. And like I said weeks and weeks ago, that he's way better when the pads come on. And I've played against him multiple times in the game, but definitely when thudding the guy out there in practice, you'd be like, okay, big homie has something under those pads. So it's like, I'm definitely glad he's on our team and not going up against him. And I'm excited for him to show Flock Nation and the rest of the world what he's going to do with Lamar and the rest of the offense.
Right. The defense has so many returning veterans who play at such a high level. We talked about Marlon, yourself, obviously, and Kyle and Marcus, a lot of guys, right? What young up-and-coming defensive player do you feel like, Ravens fans should know, like, this guy's going to have a breakout season this year?
I would say my guy, not looking too far, my guy right next to me, 2-3, formerly number 30 from last year. So I think him, his mindset, his approach, how he attacked each and every day, just wants the best each and every play, just always just trying to find room to get better. And when you have that type of mindset with the talent that he already possesses, it's a creation for something special in a sense. And so I'm just very excited for him and what he'll be able to show Flock Nation. I'm excited about that. Lean and mean.
Yeah, very cool.
Last one for me, just at a big picture level. Obviously, this team was so good last year. Defense was so good. And, I think the expectation is that you guys are going to once again be competitive as one of the best teams in the league. What is it about this team that makes you feel that this team can be one of the best? Like, what do you think the expectations are for this team?
Honestly, I think getting there last year as close as we did and knowing that we should have gone way further, I think having that mindset, and then each and every guy in the locker room knowing that, and also hey, we know we got what it takes to get there. We just got to actually do that a little bit more. And I feel like if we do that, the sky's the limit. And I tell each and every guy, look yourself in the mirror and, like, are you going to raise your standard? And, like, if each and every guy do that and never take no for an answer, never accept anything less than their best, then you're selling everyone short, including yourself. And I think guys are adopting to that mindset. And when you have that type of mindset each and every day, and that follows by each and every week, man, we're going to be very dangerous.
The last one for me is the travel. I really connect with you because I like to travel a lot too. You're a big world traveler. Did France, Germany among the European countries this year. I went hiking in Italy. Did the hiking in the Dolomites. So next time we go, I'll invite you. You're cordially invited if you want to join. What's next on the list, and what's been your favorite country? And you did the Asia trip last off season. What's been like your favorite?
Yeah, honestly, man, there are so many amazing countries out there. But my favorite probably of this off season was probably Peru. Being down, it was probably Peru and then Paris over there with like Fashion Week and stuff. But I'll just hit on more so Peru with like Machu Picchu, seeing one of the 7 wonders of the world, learning the history about the Incans, and just like traveling throughout Peru, being over in Cusco, like altitude almost 12,000 feet.
That would get you ready for training camp, right?
Like, walking upstairs, chest is hurting. I'm like, man, if I trained in this, good luck. Like, so like I would say that, and then also not forgetting me being a foodie, like the food there is amazing. Has a lot of different cuisines like that are mixed in together. There's a huge Japanese influence there in Peru as well.
Interesting.
And then I'm not sure if you know, Peru is actually considered the food capital of South America.
Okay.
And so like just knowing that and just all the great foods that are down there, it's hard not to have a good time, and the people are always nice and we're so nice. And I had a couple pisco sours as well. So
nice. That's a good drink.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's awesome. So yeah, next time, man, I want to become travel buddies. Me and you, Ro. All right, let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Welcome back into the Lounge Podcast. We're coming to you from the SeatGeek studio. We also want to give a shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. So really enjoy the conversation with Roquan Smith. I mean, look, this is a guy, it's hard to listen to him and not get fired up.
Yeah, totally.
Like I think that, like, I meant what I said. Like, I think that the way he carries himself, his willingness to talk his talk and say things confidently, and like what some people would describe as bulletin board material doesn't bother him. I really do think that carries over to everybody. And like everyone just seems to like act and play with more confidence. And I think it starts with him.
Well, John Harbaugh and other coaches have said this multiple times. He's a force multiplier. And I think that applies to not only just his impact from a X's and O's standpoint, his play on the field, right? And just making the guys better around him because of how he plays the game and whatnot, and his knowledge. But it's also that mentality, right? That also spreads to the rest of the team. And I agree with him. This Ravens defensive mentality has long been part of Baltimore football, but it feels different now. It feels a lot closer to the 2000 defenses, some of those 2003, some of those the best 2006, some of those amazing, the best defenses in Ravens history.
Yeah.
It feels a lot closer to that than it had before Roquan arrived.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say too, just to like, take viewers and listeners behind the scenes a little bit, like Roquan is a guy that wherever he is, he draws a crowd. Like when you're sitting in the cafeteria, Roquan Smith is, sitting with 3, 4, 5, 6 other guys, always. He's always talking to people. He's talking to people on the team, players, coaches, staff members, like everybody seems to, even just when I was going to connect with Roquan to bring him down here for the interview, like he talked with like every single person in the cafeteria, it was like making his rounds, and like that's just kind of how he is. And I think that like he also, like will challenge guys, and I think some of it's like kind of joking and in jest, but like, I think that part of it's like serious too, where he's like, all right, boys, get ready for practice. Practice is coming up here. Like I think that like
he sets the tone.
He sets the tone in so many ways. Like when he goes onto the field, he runs onto the field every single day, often with, some shouting along with it, but like, that's how he takes the field. And even when we just talked to him, he's like, show no weakness. Like that's how he carries himself.
Yeah.
And I do think that is a tone setter in more than just like an optical way. I think it really has a tangible effect on this team.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, he's one of the biggest leaders on the team. I mean, Lamar, obviously, because he's Lamar and everybody, recognizes his greatness. And because of who he is, like he and Roquan are both just extremely genuine people. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And that's what makes for the best leaders. I thought, Joe Flacco was a great leader in that way. He was just Joe at all times. And that's just there can't be anything phony about a leader. And there's not a phony bone in Roquan Smith's body.
Yeah.
And, so I think guys gravitate to that and they see the way that he plays the game, the way he runs to the ball constantly, the way he's trying to take the opponent's face off, like you said, and like the way he hits you. It's different. And that definitely does, raise the level of play for everybody around him.
And I think that, like, even speaking to the guy right next to him, because that's probably one of the biggest questions on this defense, the departure of Patrick Queen, and Trenton Simpson's next to him. And I thought Patrick Queen was a really good player here. I was high on him, and I had, I got a lot of respect for him. I think he's a really good player. Not easy shoes to fill. However, I think that, like, when you have Roquan next to you, there's no doubt that Patrick Queen's career really took off once Roquan arrived here. And I think that I think
PQ resented that to a degree, that perception.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of that maybe played a role in him landing in Pittsburgh and says, all right, everybody thinks I was so good because Roquan was next to me. Let's see.
Right. And I think honestly, my take is that that's too simplistic of a breakdown of it, kind of a classification of it. But
did he make him better?
Yes. But I think that, like, Roquan Smith makes everybody better, and especially the guy that's right next to him. And I think the way he can control the center of that defense, and it's a long way of saying I think that he's really going to help allow Trenton Simpson to just come in and play at a high level, where Roquan can kind of manage everything in the middle of that defense, and then Trenton Simpson's assignment can be to use his incredible athletic gifts to go and chase down tackles all over the field.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to Patrick Queen. He's going to be a missile out there.
Yeah.
And he just, Roquan, I think, will help put him in the right positions, pre-snap, all that kind of stuff, give him tips on what might be coming. And when he has that, in addition to the knowledge that a year of experience in the system and whatnot that Trenton has developed now at this point, not playing in a ton of games, but he knows this defense, and those two things will allow Trenton to play more freely, I think, and really just fly to the ball, similar to what we saw Patrick Queen do. And I think that Trenton's going to have sacks, and he's going to get picks, and he's going to be sideline to sideline making tackles. Like, I've noticed a difference in Trenton Simpson even when the pads come on. Yep. I think he's been out there with a point to prove. Like, all right, when it elevates, I'm going to elevate my game too. And had a tackle for loss of several yards in the backfield yesterday against the run. Trenton Simpson, he's got into it a little bit with Justice Hill during one practice. Like, he's out there to prove a point, and he's proven it.
It's kind of funny. The Ravens linebackers and Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson might be the nicest guys in the building if you see them.
Oh, yeah.
They might be one.
Seriously, like the most polite, like
just kind,
great manners, like this, sir, thank yous, like just the nicest dudes,
the nicest guys in the building. But then once they go out on the field, that switch gets flipped, and we've seen it with Roquan for the past few years, and I think we're starting to see it with Trenton Simpson out there. I don't know if that's how he's always been. If Roquan is rubbing off on him in that way, I'm not really sure. But I think that we're seeing that so far early in training camp, and I think Trenton Simpson's going to be good. So, I mean, we've talked about it before many times on the pod that we think this defense is going to be lights out. Like, this defense has
literally. Literally, it's lights. That's I'm just saying what Roquan would say. He'd be like, "It's literally going to be lights out."
Like, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great defense.
Yeah.
And so, Roquan's the leader of that, and I think that there's no reason that this defense, when we're looking at it at the season's end, and we might be saying this is the best defense in the league.
Yeah, no doubt. We've talked about how great the secondary is. I've talked several times about how good I think the defensive line is going to be. And don't forget, we have the best inside linebacker in football in the middle of our defense.
Yeah, we just talked to him.
That's right. We just talked to him. Friend of the lounge.
Yes.
Hiking friend now.
Yes.
Travel friend.
You got to get that on the books.
You got to get that on the books. But yeah, it's at all three levels, this defense is ridiculously good. So I agree with you. I think when all is said and done, we're going to be talking about this defense just like we were at the end of last season, where everybody says going into the playoffs, man, nobody wants to face this Ravens defense. I think it's going to be very much the same.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening. We will be back later this week as we discuss some of the things that are going on with out on the field. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson, what we've seen from him as he kind of gets heated up in the first week that he's been on the field. So we're
what the
excited
pads
about that.
have shown us.
Exactly.
On the pads.
We're going to be breaking down all that. Also, I want to make sure that fans, viewers, listeners know that coming up on August 6th, we're hosting a soccer match at M&T Bank Stadium. It's going to be between FC Barcelona, AC Milan. You can get tickets for that at BaltimoreRavens.com and also on SeatGeek. So come out before the football season.
It's going to be a fun game.
See football before you see the football season.
Well done.
So that's coming up on August 6th. And, of course, our preseason opener against the Eagles right around the corner next Friday. So a lot of fun stuff on the horizon. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will talk with you again soon.